and welcome to our Sunday slot. This is our third one, and this week we are looking at Easter. Very exciting. So we're going to start today with a story, and this story is called Stephen's Egg. It was obvious that 8-year-old Stephen was very poorly, and he was becoming more poorly. His Sunday school teacher did her best to include Stephen in the classroom activities and to avoid situations which might prompt his classmates to make fun of him. In April, she gave each of the 8 children in her class an empty egg and instructed them to place inside the container an object that represented new life in spring. Fearing that Stephen might not have caught on and not wanting to embarrass him, the teacher had the children place all the containers on the desk so that she could open them. The first one had a tiny flower inside it. "What a lovely sign of new life," said the teacher. One of the students couldn't help but interrupt. "I bought that one." Next came a rock. Their teacher assumed this must be Stephen's, since rocks don't symbolise new life. But Billy shouted that his rock had moss on it, and moss represented new life. "Very good, Billy," agreed the teacher. A butterfly flew from the third container, and another girl bragged that her choice was the best of all. The fourth container was empty. "This must be Stephen's," thought the teacher, quickly reaching for a different one. "Teacher, please don't skip mine," interrupted Stephen. "But it's empty, Stephen," said the teacher gently. "That's right," said Stephen. "The tomb was empty, and that represents new life for everyone." Later that summer, Stephen's condition worsened and he sadly died. At his funeral, on his casket, mourners found 8 eggs containing symbols of new life. We've now got another story that we're going to read, which is from our lovely rhyming Bible, and it tells a little bit about the Easter story and about that new life that we've just heard of. So listen carefully. It's called No More Crying. When someone you love dies, you hurt deep inside. You miss them so much, you just want to cry. The day Jesus died, his friends all hurt too. Peter and John and the rest of the crew were gutted and just didn't know what to do with sighing, goodbying and crying. Day 1 passed, then 2, and on the 3rd day Mary went early to visit the grave. She went with her friends bearing spice and perfume to anoint the dead body that lay in the tomb. The day hadn't dawned, they walked in the gloom. They were sighing, goodbying and crying. But when they arrived, they were filled with dismay. The tomb had been opened, the stone rolled away. So they went and told Peter, they went and told John. "They've stolen his body, Jesus is gone. They've moved him somewhere, don't know what they've done." More sighing, goodbying and crying. So Peter ran off, but John, with a burst, sped right past his friends and reached the tomb first. He didn't dare enter, just stuck his head in. Only burial cloths where Jesus had been. What happened? He wondered, his head in a spin, sighing, goodbying and crying. Then Peter arrived, and without delay walked into the tomb, and where Jesus lay were neatly stacked sheets and the cloth from his head, like Jesus had woken and made up his bed. Was it possible Jesus was no longer dead? No more sighing, goodbying and crying? So Peter and John both went home all amazed, but Mary remained and was suddenly dazed when two angels appeared, shining bright in the grave, at the foot and the head of where Jesus once lay. Where did they take him? Was all they could say, sighing, goodbying and crying. But before they could answer, she heard a voice speak. Why are you weeping? Whom do you seek? It's the gardener, she thought. So she quickly replied. It's Jesus, she answered. Jesus who died. If you've taken his body, please say where it lies. Sighing, goodbying and crying. Mary, he said. Oh, what a surprise. It was Jesus behind her. Jesus alive. Teacher, she gasped. But he told her to go. Tell all my friends what you've seen. They must know that I'm no longer dead. I have risen, and so no more sighing, goodbying and crying. No more sighing, goodbying and crying. So that's the end of our story today, and reminds us that we have really good news, and we remember that Jesus was raised to life, and that our egg might not be full of all the things of new life, but actually an empty egg or an empty grave or an empty tomb can also represent new life for us. So I hope that you have a really happy Sunday and stay safe and stay blessed.